everyone, this is Noah Villaverde, host of Blank Green Canvas, and today I'm going to be giving you a special movie review for the new film, Toy Story 4. Yes, this is the fourth installment in the beloved Toy Story franchise from Disney and Pixar, which began in 1995 as the very first computer-generated animated film. It became an instant classic, a big success, but not just because of the technology that it introduced into the world of animation, but because of how incredible these characters were, how great the dialogue and the story was, and just being plain funny, touching, and relatable. What made the first Toy Story great was because Woody and Buzz felt very human despite being inanimate objects. I just gotta say, by the way, in regards to Toy Story was actually the first film that I saw as a kid, having the VHS tape, rewinding it every day because I would watch it every single day. I could recite the dialogue from beginning to end, still to this day, because I think Toy Story might be the film I've watched the most in my entire life growing up. And since then, I also have a love for Toy Story 2, which came out in 1999. In fact, I still remember seeing that in the theaters and being scared of the big screen before anything was projected on there. So I brought my Woody and Buzz dolls with me, and I tried to cover my face and my eyes up because I was so scared of the black screen before anything was playing. And I remember loving that film just as much. I got the Toy Story 1 and 2 DVD pack when that came out in 2000, I believe. I remember that was the first DVD I believe our family owned. And I would rewatch those on DVD endlessly as well. And then of course, there was a 9 or 11-year wait for Toy Story 3. And by then I was 13 years old, just finished 8th grade, about to hit high school. So watching that film was a very interesting experience because as a kid, watching those first two films endlessly, it was interesting to see that they would jump the timeline in real time to see Andy has gone off to college and the toys now have to find a new purpose in life. And to this day, I still get teary-eyed every time I see that final scene in which Andy gives away his toys to Bonnie, and that last moment where he stares at Woody for the last time, realizing that he has to give him away, is one of the most heartbreaking yet beautiful moments in any animated film. So it's safe to say that these first three Toy Story films that I actually have presented right here have a special place in my heart, not just because of the fact that they are great films, but because they remind me of an innocent time when I was just a young child, playing with toys when all the worries in the world didn't seem so crazy, and all that mattered to you was, when can I play with my toys? When can I watch this movie again? When can I rewind the VHS tape so I could rewatch it again with my toys? So I was pretty pleased and satisfied with the fact that we had a perfect trilogy. So when a couple years ago when they announced that Pixar was creating Toy Story 4, I, just like a lot of fans, were pretty nervous because we thought, wow, why would you want to expand on the story again, because this was a perfect trilogy. In fact, I was pretty content with the idea of them just doing holiday specials or Toy Story shorts that took place after Toy Story 3 because they weren't like a full-on film to add on to the series, so I was okay with new adventures in that way. But with the Toy Story 4, I still felt pretty scared. Thankfully, I must say, Toy Story 4 succeeds in many ways that the first three did as well, and expands upon the themes that those films explored, particularly in the case of our main character, Woody. Now, Toy Story 4 actually follows Woody and the rest of the toys, having now lived with Bonnie for quite some time now. You know, they've been getting used to being played around with Bonnie, with the new group of toys that they have. And all of a sudden, the first day of school for Bonnie, she's going to a kindergarten orientation. She feels a little weird, she doesn't know what to do. And then all of a sudden, Woody finds all these things in the trash, and then he puts all the stuff on the table for her to put them together. And through that, she creates this new arts and crafts figure made out of a spork called Forky. And he is voiced by Tony Hale of Arrested Development and Veep fame. And suddenly, Forky comes to life, which scares Woody and the rest of the toys in Bonnie's room when they realize that Forky must be taken care of, because Forky is now the most important toy to Bonnie at the moment, which spurs into this road trip adventure that the toys go on with Bonnie and her family that leads Woody and Forky into an interesting detour that ends up leading him to an old long-lost friend, Bo Peep. Now, Toy Story 4, in its premise, seems very episodic. It seems like it's just going to be another adventure with these toys that may seem inconsequential and lead to, okay, that was a fun adventure, now let's go back home and just maybe have another adventure in the future. Well, I will say this about Toy Story 4. there is an immense sense of closure in this film that I did not expect it to have. I went in expecting maybe some deep themes in terms of living an existential crisis personified by the new Forky character along with other new characters we meet in the film, even with Woody's case, but I did not expect how deep it would resonate with me, because the way that this film explores its themes of purpose, transitions in your life after one chapter of it ended, and trying to restart it with a new chapter, and realizing that some things just won't be the same as a result, I found a lot of those themes to be very compelling, very deep, and very grown up. That's what makes this series so amazing, is because through every time a new chapter comes out, a few years have passed. And in the case, at least with Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4, now that it's been almost a decade since Toy Story 3 came out, a lot has happened in my life, I must say. You know, I was in high school, or about to enter high school, when the Toy Story 3 came out, and now I am just about to finish my undergrad at college, now that Toy Story 4 has come out. And in a lot of ways, in some sort of meta-textual kind of manner, these films have kind of reflected my generation of viewers that grew up watching these films in the transition periods that we had in our lives. What sacrifices do we have to make? Do we have to say goodbye to all the stuff that made us feel like kids or when we were kids? Or is it okay to still hold on to some of those childlike innocence to keep it with us still, even though we have adult responsibilities? Or, in Woody's case, what happens when you find yourself in a new place, and yet you also want to explore the world in a lot of ways, and you're introduced to that when you reunite with an old flame like Bo Peep? These themes are explored in incredible detail through some incredible humor, brilliant animation. I mean, I can't gush enough about how much the animation since 1995 to 1999 to 2010 and now to 2019. The animation, when you watch all four of these films, you just get blown away at the fact that these are the same characters, despite the fact that they looked a little different given the technology and limitations they had in regards to the animation process. And seeing how Pixar has come with these characters and the designs is just very inspiring. And enough can't be said about the voice actors. I mean, of course, Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Annie Potts returns as Bo Peep. I mentioned Tony Hale as Forky, who is perfect in this role. He nails it. Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key are in this film as Bunny and Ducky, stuffed animals that you could win at a carnival game. Keanu Reeves, who is having the best summer ever, plays Duke Kaboom, a Canadian motorcyclist. And Christina Hendricks plays a new character named Gabby Gabby, a doll that Woody and Forky meet inside this antique shop. All of these new additions are very interesting, original, and funny in their own right, and they all have an interesting connection through the sense that they have all dealt with some sort of existential crisis of their own in this film, and it really showcases how mature these films have gotten. And if anything, Toy Story 4 might be the most mature entry in this series. And it makes sense because as each entry comes along through the years, people do find themselves at a different point in their life. And sometimes what they wanted a couple years ago might not be what they want now. And if anything, Toy Story 4 kind of came out at a perfect time for me, at least, as I'm still contemplating a lot of the plans that I want to do with my life in a lot of ways. Same thing that a lot of the characters in this film have to deal with themselves. And in a lot of ways, Toy Story 4 really is essential. It's not just some sort of optional viewing. I'd argue that Toy Story 4 is the fulfillment arc of this entire series. The themes of being a child, growing up, new chapters in your life, the people you have in your life, the loved ones you have, people you loved, lost, reunited, all of those things kind of coalesce into this incredible, hilarious, heartfelt adventure with all the old friends that we had. If there's any minor gripes that I might have, is that although Woody and Buzz are definitely part of the story prominently, as for the many other toys in Bonnie's room, which include, Jessie, the Potato Heads, Ham, Slinky, Rex, a lot of them that came from Andy's room, and even some of Bonnie's toys that she has that come along on this trip, they're not really a part of the story as much this time around. They're more ancillary compared to the previous three films. But it's okay for this film because the film is really centered on Woody and his journey and his arc and his adventure. And I think it works best out that way because the way the film ends without giving anything away really fits in the case that this really should have been Woody's story. And if anything, this all 4-chapter storyline of Toy Story is about Woody's journey, about the complexities that he's been through, how he is perhaps one of the most incredible animated characters ever created, and maybe one of the best characters in all of cinema. Like, Woody is full of depth, much of which is thanks to Tom Hanks' performance, but also the writing that has been established in all 4 of these films. I can't really rate it, and in regards to future movie reviews, by the way, I don't really see myself doing like a number or letter grade system in rating films. All I'll do is just give you a high recommendation or no recommendation in regards to whether I think you should check this film out in the theater. But I must say, obviously, a lot of us were going to go see this film anyway, but Toy Story 4 is definitely recommended to see on the big screen as soon as possible. Bring tissues, by the way, because you are about to cry, just like you did in the last few Toy Story films, because this film goes places that I did not expect to resonate with me emotionally, but somehow it did. And I can't wait to see it again, and I can't wait to talk about it with people once they finally get a chance to see it. So overall, yes, Toy Story 4 is a high recommendation on my part, and I definitely can't wait to see it again and again and again. So thanks everybody for watching this review from me, Noah Villaverde, host of Blank Green Canvas, and thank you very much, and I will see you in the near future.